Looks like today's Thursday. Looks like the 8th of August. And yeah, I just got done with lunch a little bit ago. Why not come on here? Yeah, and I turned my lights out today. I'm still out in the garage, though. You can kind of see the shine off my truck back there. And I just wanted to see what it looks like when it's dark. It's not dreary, though. Yeah, I stopped by Super Dave's channel there this morning. He was up bright and early and on there talking a little bit. We're going to have a get-together on the 13th of this month and do a little chatting. We'll be live. And like I say, told you the other day he's going to figure the agenda out. He had a few questions, and I'll have to see if I can answer them. Oh, my. Oh, today I feel a little stiff. It looked like it was going to storm a little while ago, so sometimes, I don't know if you can, there you can see my hands. Some of my fingers are a little crooked, so I'm having trouble doing my typing today. They don't, I can't hardly get them together. Such as it is, I can tell the weather usually 24 hours before it gets here. And usually I take an aspirin or so and see if I can't get that old arthritis, chase it away. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Today it didn't work very well. And I usually end up with slight congestion when that happens as well. So my voice is going to be a little scratchy today. Just see if you can put up with it, and hopefully you can hear me okay. I've got my mic turned up as far as I can do it. It seemed to be doing okay. I don't get as many complaints as I was before. The different mic that I've got here from what I was using. This one's a little bulky. I don't particularly care to hold on to it, but I've got to get it close enough to talk into it. It looks like that old judge that we've all talked about at one time or another. He got his comeuppance, and he is out. He won't be on the case anymore with our fair-haired boy out there. I was trying to figure out what is a good descriptive name, and I can't come up with one that wouldn't be somewhat negative. And I guess we'll just either call him Jeremy or Jerem, either one. Everybody knows him by both names. Sometimes there's some out there call him the creator because he's a creator of a channel. I believe that's one of the reasons. I'm not sure exactly, but I'm just figuring that out anyway. I had a few come on here and told me I shouldn't be so judgmental, and it's not my job to judge, and that's reserved for the Lord. But I'd like to caution you a little bit. I try to keep a neutral stance on things, and if I see something, I bring it out to the light of the day. And there's nothing in the Bible that says I can't do that. It actually has to do probably with more of what my intent is. Are we talking about judgment where I'm going to put somebody in jail, or am I going to do something very wrong? And I don't have any intentions in that way, at least not purposely. But the Lord would like us to call out the sin we see, so that we can bring the righteous up and show them the difference of the past to follow. And in fact, he gives us all kinds of examples of sinners and believers in the Bible. So those of you that think I'm trying to fill the shoes of the Lord, please rest your mind. I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to. Don't plan on it. Although there's others out there that act like they would like to. I'm not one of them. I have nothing to gain And the only thing I can figure out is people that make accusations like that, they are the true soul of a troll. And they really don't know their Bible that well. And the best thing they can do is go back and do a little more reading and keep their mouth shut until they've learned what's all in there. Now, myself, I've went over it a couple of times. I'm old enough, I've forgotten a lot of the passages. Sometimes I'll spout something out there and say, hey, I almost forgot about that. Other times I have to hunt through and see if I can find it. I know the verse, but I don't know where it was at. And that happens. The older we get, our mind kind of scrambles things, mixes them up. And we got to be careful we don't change the verbiage within a sentence or a paragraph, because we change the meaning. And I've had a lot of those people come on here and they'll spout out a sentence that happens to be written in the Bible, and they forget to tell us the whole paragraph. They don't tell us what happened before or after that sentence. They just spill something out there that has a different meaning when it's all by itself. And I know what you guys know what I'm talking about. You know, when you think of a sentence itself, it can have good or bad in it. And in fact, just like the sentence, it could have both words at the same time in the same sentence. And they can be side by side, and it's a good way to have a comparison. And it's that way in life. If you put good and bad side by side, it's easily to tell the difference in the two. But not so much when you separate them out. And either one can preach in your ear, and you're going to believe them. And if they preach long enough, it'll be the only word you hear. No matter if the other one gets in there and starts talking, you'll only hear the one, because that's the one you put your belief in. You have your faith in that person, and the Bible kind of tells you to be careful about things like that, because there's going to be a lot of people out there that claims they're something they're not. And if you listen to their words enough, you'll be drug into it and then fall in the same pit that they do. When the good Lord comes back, he'll be doing the judgment, and you're quite correct about that. When I won't be doing that kind of a judgment. I guarantee you I won't, because it's not my job. And the fact that if I call something out that I don't like out there because I think it's wrong, there's absolutely nothing in the Bible that says I can't do that. And I'm not doing it for the meanness or spite. Although I have to tell you, when somebody takes something of mine, it'll upset me for a while. There are those that take advantage of their situation they have. There's opportunists out there that will do whatever they can to get what they want. They'll tell you whatever it takes to get there. If need be, they'll crawl right over the top of your back to get ahead of you. What I'm telling you is that you have to have a good mind and a sense of morality to transverse the path that the Lord has put out there. It's a lighted path if you open your eyes up enough to follow it. Now, I know you're going to get bored if I kept on that type of a thing, but I just thought I'd bring that up since multiple people keep coming on my channel trying to tell me about judgment and judging and not my job and be ashamed of yourself and all that. I can tell you right now, I'm not ashamed because of my opinions. It's my right to have those opinions, and it's demanded that I have an opinion to be myself. And that's what I am. And you can accept it or you can reject it. That's your privilege. And in some places it would be your duty. Because if I'm not doing something right, you need to avoid me at all costs. Your mind should be able to tell you when you're on a clear path in humanity here. I'm just talking about having good morals and understanding what it takes to have good morals. I was lucky enough to have parents and grandparents that, they love life so much that there was very seldom were they critical of others, because they were so busy making sure that they were doing the right thing, and they enjoyed each other, and in turn we enjoyed them. It was kind of, oh, I don't know what you'd call it. I guess you could call it a family love. Today, I understand a lot of people, that may be the only love they've ever experienced is if they were lucky enough to have a family around them and raised with more than one generation. Well, you don't want to be by yourself, and half the people out there are divorced. And that's only, I don't know how you count the people that don't get married. See, there's a lot of people out there who don't think they should get married. They just live together. And that might be your thing. I don't know if I'd ever want to do that, but I'm not saying that I wouldn't, because I haven't been faced with it. I've been lucky enough. My wife stuck by me all these years. Over 61 years, as a matter of fact. Whew, thank you, Lord, for that. There's been times where I couldn't have made it without my wife. I just couldn't have. And you can be as manly as you want, but if you don't have a partner to share it with, what do you really have? You don't have anything. Oh, good Lord. There's some people out there that probably wouldn't understand, and I know that when I look out there and I see the interaction between a couple, whether they're starting life or finishing life, but you can be, well, I've seen people in their 90s that have been married all their life and they're side by side with their spouse who they've spent their entire life with. And they still have the same gleam in their eye and the smile, and you can tell that they love each other as much now as they did when they met. And I guess that's the secret of living and letting another person live with you, because you have to endure those years with each other. You have to almost be a part of each other. You grow together to the point where one does not want to be without the other. And once you achieve that, then you're in heaven itself here on earth. That's all I want to say about marriage. Now we got past that. Let's see. What about other things? You're stationed in life. Some of you are happy with what you have. And if you can get more without having to steal it or cheat somebody out of it or something, you might make that other step to get a little more. And you might see or think the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. And it isn't always. It isn't. But you reach a point sometime in life where there is enough. And you can go on and enjoy life once you've reached that goal. When you find out that money is not the end product of happiness. Satisfaction is what you call happiness. And once you are able to reach that goal of satisfaction, you're going to be happy. Now, my wife and I, throughout our marriage, have set different goals. Now, one of them at one time was buying a house, and it took us a long time to get a house, a lot of years. Back then, you couldn't just walk into a bank and get a loan. Didn't work that way. And we wanted a brand new car someday. And we did. We got a brand new car one day. And that's been a lot of years ago. And since then, we've pretty much bought either lease returns or something that's a year or two old that it looks like brand new. We found out that you didn't have to have a new car, but if you could cut the price in almost half and have one that's 1 or 2 years old, that was a good deal. It's kind of like when you go into a restaurant and all of a sudden they say, well, today this is half price. Do you ever notice how much better it tastes? Well, it's the same way in life when you walk into the car dealer and you say, well, as much as I want a new car, I've seen several used ones out there, so let's go price them. And you get out there and you find one that fits everything that you wanted. And you get behind the wheel and you say, yep, that's for me. What is the cost of this car? And when you get through rattling and negotiating and hemming and hawing, and you get it almost half price. And you get this big smile on your face and you write the check out and you walk out of there with that car. And it feels every bit as good as that brand new car. Now, a brand new car, when you get it, you don't take too many steps, and it's only worth about half what you paid for it. And the day came when my wife and I decided we wanted to be on that step after the first step. That way, we would get that same feeling, and we'd actually feel better about it because we had a car that was new to us, but we paid less, and the car really was like a new car because we chose carefully, and we researched it, and you know how that goes. Anyway, that's how we did after we bought that new car. That new car we bought, by the way, was in 1977, and I bought it just before my wife's birthday, and it was actually more for my wife. I was in construction back then, and I had my own business, by the way, and I already had a truck that was, well, fairly new. Back then, the business had to come first a lot of times, but that car was a beauty. For us, it was a beauty. And it wasn't that we had bad cars before that. It just, they were, several years older, and being that was our last new car, and we kept it a long time. Oh my goodness, I can't remember when we finally did get rid of it. It still looked like brand new when we traded it off and got a newer Dodge, one of them small. No, it was a Chrysler New Yorker. But anyway, we'll get past that. Too many years ago. All right, what's the next phase you get into? Retirement. Well, my wife and I had a good time figuring out retirement. And for a couple of years, we practiced different phases of retirement. One is money spending. The biggest problem with retirement is, do you put enough away that you can still live the same life or similar to when you were working with finances? In other words, is there going to be a big worry once you retire, or will there be enough income so that you don't have to lower your standards of living? You're going to have to move out of your house and sell it, or just what's going on. You have to give up your toys, your boat, and your snowmobile, and all those things you worked so hard to get when you were young. You were younger. But anyway, we would talk about it, and it was the biggest thing in our mind, I think, the last 2 years. And we wanted to make sure, of course, we did. By that time, we were liquid. At least we didn't owe bills. And that's a big step, believe me. When the day comes when you can burn the mortgage to your house or the note on a car, although I'm going to tell you that I think, and I'm not real positive, but I think the last time I had a note on a car was that 77 Thunderbird. After that, we always had enough put away that we paid cash for houses, not houses, but cars. And the only thing that I went into debt on from time to time was a house. And sometimes we owned more than one because we'd be working on one, getting it ready to sell to get another one. It was a slow process. Getting into retirement and having something that was paid for, and being satisfied with your final retirement house. Let's put it that way. And we found it 5 years before we actually retired, just the house itself. But that last 2 years was intense, and. There's a lot of things you have to look over. Is that house going to be a money pit after we retire? And to keep it from being a money pit, prior to retirement, when I still had a good flow of money, we replaced everything that we thought would break down in the balance of life that we had left. And we got fooled because now we've been in the house 20 years. And as most of you know, at 20 years, you start replacing about everything in the house. And we're in the process of doing that. And wouldn't you know it, the last few years has been kind of a downturn in financial gains. And I don't, I'm laughing because I'm more of crying inside thinking how we think about life and all the twists and turns. And so we're having to be a little more cautious when we're looking forward to, if we're going to replace something. We don't just replace it at this point to prevent having to do something down the road. We're at the point now where we're saying, if it breaks down, maybe we can get it fixed, or if it's bad enough, we'll replace it rather than replacing everything again, because we replaced everything, furnace, air conditioner. Now we waited till a hot water heater till a couple of years ago, but new roof, siding, windows, vehicles, a motorhome. Actually, we went through a couple motorhomes while we were retired. And I don't have one right now. We got rid of it because I'm too old to drive it. Let's see. I guess that shows you how to get to retirement. And then when you're there, guess what? You think you have all the time in the world, right? Because what are you going to do? Well, the first thing that hits you is those honey-do lists. The things that you put off for maybe the last 30 years. And, of course, you want to do a little traveling and see things that you may have not seen while you were working. And hopefully everything, all your obligations are pretty much behind you. And you can act like a teenager if you want to. And some of you do. My neighbor he's gone now, but he lived up the hill over there, and he had himself a gal he'd been living with a long time. He decided he's going to marry her. Well, they'd been together 20 years, and they married her, and 2 years later, he was without her. They up and divorced. I got an inkling of it when one day I heard them out there screaming and yelling at each other, and I thought, boy, I'll be hearing an ambulance pretty soon, as mad as they sounded. As it was, I think it was the lawyers coming to figure out how they're going to divide up what they had. And then a year later or so, I seen this gal kept going up the hill. And I thought it was one of his grandkids. What was his new girlfriend? Oh, yeah. He was enjoying life. Now, the heck of it is, the poor guy, I think the Lord called him home a little quicker than what he thought he would. But at least he kept banging away at it till he got it figured out what he wanted in life. And as it was, it ended up, at least he had 3 wives over a lifetime. And but he was pretty happy, I think, for the most part. He enjoyed life, maybe too well, who knows. Now, one thing I forgot. In retirement, the wife runs the household all day while you're not around, right? And even sometimes when you're around. And then when you retire, and you kick back in an easy chair and you hear this word, honey, are you going to help out with this? And you're looking around like, what is she talking about? Honey, I need some help. Now you get up out of that easy chair and you go out in the kitchen, and she says, can you watch the supper tonight? I got to do a few things and I'll be right back. Well, what do you want me to do with it? She just walks out laughing. She was relaxing a little bit as well as laughing. And of course, she comes back to finish up, and you go on about your business. The next day, you get up and it's, hey, honey, it snowed last night. And you look out there. Well, you weren't planning on going anywhere, were you? Well, I wouldn't mind going to the grocery store. You gonna get the snowblower out? Huh? Anyway, those honey-do lists, they just add up. And you just have to kind of go about it. All the little repairs and the things that you planned on doing. You may have a motorcycle or a bike or something out there you planned on working on. With me, I had a couple old classic cars, and that I was going to work on. I had a beautiful sports car sitting out there that I used to love to take for a ride once in a while. Had a Thunderbird, and had a Mustang convertible out there, I think it was a 70 Mustang. And I'd completely redone the interior. And when I bought it, it had a hopped-up motor in it and a new top. So I didn't have to do a whole lot to it. Oh, I had to put tires on it. The tires were bad. It wasn't a rust bucket or anything like that. And I know Morgan got this thing pretty much where it was all put together. And some guy come by and he seen that thing sitting in my driveway, and he bought it. It wasn't for sale, but I couldn't resist it. So then I was down to a couple cars, and I've been looking around. I'm thinking, well, I just got through having that other one gone through, so I'll just kick back and use it for a while. And it was a Thunderbird. It was nice, and I decided I wanted a different truck, so to buy a Thunderbird. But it's always something, you just, when you're in retirement, you think about it, and you're willing to do a little trading back and forth, and whatever it takes to keep you happy and keep you busy. That's the idea. Oh, the other thing I forgot about is you get to visit the doctor more often. And I did. I made plenty of visits to the doctor. Nobody's immune from it. The day comes, your body's wearing out. You go in there and you sit for an hour at a time waiting for somebody to come over and tell you in 5 minutes what you knew before you come through the door, and you didn't feel good. Give you a little medicine and send you home, and take your medicine, and next day you wake up and you feel a little better. Run out of medicine and you don't feel good at all. There was a while where before I had the first back operation, I ended up in the hospital. My legs just, they just quit completely. My back slipped enough that everything went numb, and there was a pain in the bottom part of my back that just was like lightning bolts hitting me. So I ended up in a wheelchair for a while till I could get in to get the operation. The doctor seen me under an emergency type deal, but he, it was going to take 6 weeks before they'd get a room to operate on me. The hospital seemed to be pretty busy. I went in there feeling rough, and I was able to walk out after the operation. They relieved the pressure, and they did it microscopy type operation where they just put 2 holes in my back and went in there and chipped bone out and kept part of the disc away. And I felt pretty good for another year. And then I ended up, it slipped again. There was nothing in there to stabilize it that much, and I didn't always do everything they told me. But I found out that they tell you not to lift anything, you don't want to do it, and don't twist, and don't bend clear to the ground or anything like that. And of course, I violated everything they told me not to do, and ended up back in there. And this time it was more serious. And they put a brace in my back, and they put a spacer down there towards the end of by the tailbone somewhere, and put a bone graft in there, and froze part of the bottom of it pretty good. Of course, where the steel goes through my back, that's stiff, and it doesn't move. And every once in a while it gives me fits, but not not nothing like it did before I had it put in there. And there again, I had to have assistance before I got there, but when the operation was over, the next day I was able to walk. Matter of fact, I could walk as soon as I woke up after the operation, which to me was phenomenal. And I could climb stairs right away. And I did take it kind of easy, although I went through different exercises at home to make sure that I could strengthen my back enough so that it wouldn't slip back out, and I could walk around pretty good, and I didn't have to use a cane later. I used, one of those things looks like a little cage, but a walker, I guess they call it, for a little bit, only for stability. Now, I didn't have to have it. And it wasn't, it didn't last but a few days, and I had put it aside. And as far as a cane, I used it for balance and put it aside pretty soon. And I've been lucky. I haven't had a whole lot of trouble, knock on wood. Went on with life. But that's part of retirement too, and you have to figure out, is it worth it? Because one thing I can tell you, if you're in a lot of pain, it's worth it. Go in there and get fixed. On the other hand, if it's something else, sometimes you don't want to go through it. I guess you could say that my wife and I have had a pretty blessed life because we've gotten a lot of the things we wanted, and some of the things that we may have wanted must not have been too necessary because we forgot all about them. It's one good way to look at it, by the way. Well, I've been on here a half hour and tried to bore you to death. Well, going back to this judgment thing where people were on my channel, the only thing I can tell you is that a lot of you that come on here like a troll and you're spouting verses from the Bible, you really don't know much of what you're talking about. You need to go back and look at the Bible a little better and, listen to the preacher in your church, minister or priest or whatever church you go to for a little advice before you start spouting or preaching to somebody else. It's not that I don't appreciate you trying to help me out, but most of them weren't trying to help me. They were trying to hit me over the head with the King James Version of the Bible. I'm old enough that I probably read every passage in there more than once. And I've had preachers tell me about different spots in it more than once. And I appreciate somebody that comes in that has the knowledge to sit down and have a good conversation, but I don't appreciate whatsoever when you come in here and tell me not to judge and you're judging me. Don't even waste your time. You're just talking to yourself. They call that pissing up a rope or something, I think, don't they? Or pissing into the wind. Oh, and you don't like that language? Well, I'm sorry about that. I didn't swear. I'm giving you a good example of what happens. As far as how I feel about our fair-haired boy down there, well, you see, that's between him and I, not you and I. And you're making it you and I. Don't do that. You don't need to. Sometimes when you open up and say, look, this is what you need to look forward to, there's nothing wrong with that. If I pull out something and say, to me, that's not right. That's my opinion. And I'm not forcing my opinion on you. Obviously, if you come in here to listen to me, that's your prerogative to listen or not. Yeah, that's your right. I'm not going to take that away from you. And I've been pretty good about letting you list your opinion until you attack. If you attack me, then I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to allow you on my channel. That's real simple. You can have your opinion. It's yours. The Lord give you something to think with. Let's hope you can speak like a Christian. So if you want to give advice out, and that's fine, make sure that it's your opinion and not your judgment against me. Okay, just do that. That's simple. I don't ask you not to completely ignore everything that you were ever brought up with. Now, I know there's others out there that'll chase you away and never let you back. And I don't really feel that way. If I do ask you to leave, and you want to come back, it's not a big deal. I probably won't tell you no. I'm just going to say, well, look, be a little easier on me when you come back. Play nice. And if you say that I'm not playing nice, that's your opinion, and you're welcome to it. Try not to hammer me with it, and we'll get along just fine. And I don't need you to tell me 10 times in a row about how you feel about one specific thing. Make it out like as if I didn't care or if I'm the one to blame for your problems. I'm not. I do care, but I can't solve what you can't solve yourself. You see, most people don't realize it, but if you ask the Lord, he probably will help you out of a dilemma you get into. At least he'll open up a path so you can work your way out of it. Be reasonable, okay? And yes, I'm still going to talk about things out there that I believe in. I'm going to give my opinion. That's just me. One of these days, you may be able to do something similar to that, and more than likely you can right now. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so interested in what I'm doing, would you? Let's hope that as you travel through life, you bring with it some wisdom, because experience, good experience, can be wisdom for the rest of your life. If that makes sense. I'm trying to ease it up for you so that I'm not spanking you or anything else like that. Now, there are some people that they don't or won't take the wisdom or advice from others because they already know more than thou. And they're the first ones who'll tell you in the Bible, don't judge. That's the Lord's. And yet, they judge everything or everybody, and you have to abide by their will. Or else, they want you to vacate very quickly. And they want to punish you. And they don't know when to stop punishing. That's not Christian. And that is not the God's will. Not our Lord. I hope that wisdom will help you through some of your decisions that you make through life. I guess the biggest thing is, if you're gonna use the sword of vengeance, remember that is the Lord's sword, not yours. Oh, what else can we think about? Let's not go anywhere else. I did have a good time today listening to Super Dave. Hey, and I went with Guapo. I listened to him. Somebody said you got to say Guapo. I hope it's right. I've been saying Guapo, but Guapo. You know, the older you get, the more tongue-tied you become. Although I have to admit, I don't lisp, or anything like that yet. And I haven't bit my tongue lately. But yeah, Guapo was on there today. He wasn't doing any nagging or backbiting or anything like that. He was just being himself out there, looking at property and stuff. And looked like he was pretty happy today. He was joking around and having a good time. So maybe you want to go over there and see his channel. Don't forget, go over there and see Super Dave. He's a growing channel and doing everything he can to grow it a little more. Nothing wrong with that. I guess that's about it. Oh yeah, Two Lees in a Pod. They're going to be on there tonight. I don't know what all they're going to talk over, but it should be interesting. I don't know if I'll be up that late, but if I am, I'll certainly turn to their channel and listen to some of it. I won't be able to get all of it, obviously, because, a certain time of the night, my eyes close up and I can't do anything about it. See you all later. You have a good day. And with that, goodbye. It's still on there. I can't believe that. I thought I turned it off.